Yes. And boom. And here we are. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is shockingly Wednesday, September 4th. We're into September already, and it's not even like a day in. We're in. I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen my friends Ben and Caleb in quite some time. Haven't seen these beautiful faces in a couple of months. And welcome anybody who's here, and then everybody else will start showing up, and we'll start to talk about things. We're going to catch up on what we've been doing. Welcome to the channel. This is the crazy Camera Flask show. Not that crazy. And we're going to talk about what we've been doing. We're going to drink, leaded or unleaded, and then maybe we'll come up with a crazy challenge of some sort by the end of the show. Gentlemen, how are you? I'm going to start with the nodder, Mr. Ben Barden. You are back from something. How are you? Well, we're going to get drinks, and then we can talk about stuff. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. All the better for seeing you two.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Definitely a long time.
It has.
Caleb, how are you, sir?
Good. It has been forever. Hi, Ben. I jumped on rather late here, so I'm just saying hi for the first time. But yeah, doing well. Good to see you guys. Glad to chat. How's it going, Thaddeus, David? As folks trickle in, are you in the UK then? There, Ben. Is this the?
No.
Is this your office?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm in Czech at the moment.
That's right. The guitars. Nice.
The guitars.
Yeah.
I'm having to frame this in a way because I've been away for quite a while and I'm back for about a week and then I'm going again. So there's just crap stuff, cameras, gear all over the floor. So I'm kind of
you're going back
framed
out.
in this very not on that again, but yes, I've got another trip coming up. So I'm having to frame this in this very unsatisfactory, very non-balanced frame, but that's just to mask the sea of crap behind me.
Yeah, but you always look good anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so I think we should get some drinks. Just say hi to Thaddeus, David, and Harrison. Getting a shout out for Camera Foundry for the SDI add-on for your Cineback. Caleb,
yes.
From Harrison.
Yep. Awesome. Oh, there it is, Harrison. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Thank you.
I feel like your levels could come up just a scotch, Caleb.
Mine?
Just a scotch.
All right.
Yeah, just a little. Not much.
See.
I mean, I can hear you clearly, but I think in terms of where we're sitting, I may be wrong. But I just mean ever so slightly. It's all right.
I happen to switch cameras.
Yo, David. What's happening? The other David. So it's Wednesday, and I think we're going to start with a drink. Let's do that because that's the flask part of Camera Flask. So who do we start with? I feel like we start with Caleb most times. So I'm going to start with you, Ben, today, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
And let's go with that. I'm ready.
All right. I am on a Weston's. Come on. No, are we not doing it? It's not going to focus.
There we
go. It's on the face only thing. There we go. Weston's dry cider. This is one that's been sitting in the garage since I was in the UK a couple of months ago. I'm generally my drinking level sort of lower, so this is the first one of this pack that I've had. Done very well keeping it this long.
I like it. Sam, good to have you here. I like the little split lighting there. Memo, good to have you. Caleb, what you drinking, sir? Is it some fancy beer can, or are you going?
Yeah, we're going to the standby.
Okay. Yeah.
It's another Prairie Street IPA.
Okay.
I've been doing these fancy drinks the last 2 times, and then this time just didn't have time. Forgot. Didn't get something.
You're going to be breaking out.
How about you?
Breaking out
What do you got?
Soon. I'm going to do something different.
Is that some Aldi key lime?
Yeah. No, not Aldi. Nelly. So, I got off with Caleb about 13 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, or something like that. And I went into the house to figure out what I was going to drink. And I'm not in the mood for scotch, and I'm not in the mood for wine. And during the summer, I kind of like tequila. I don't hate it, to be honest. So I literally, in like 30 seconds, I tell you what I'm going to do. So I made some simple syrup. That's easy. That's just half sugar, half water. I got some Nellie's key lime juice. I'm going to make a margarita.
Oh, there it is.
Right here. I got my glass with some ice. I got some reposado. This one is, this one's kind of baller. I like this one a lot. This is good stuff. So this stuff right here. I've got some orange bitters. And then if I feel like I need some fizzy, I have pineapple spindrift, or I have the raspberry lime. So I'm going in, and this was literally, I'm not shitting you, Caleb.
A bird on a branch.
It was so fast. It was so fast. Everything
to the barn with all.
Oh my god. Yeah. So I'm gonna make a margarita. I don't know. You know, why not? You know, life's too short. And this stuff's good in a pinch. So we can start talking now, everybody. I'm just gonna get the.
I honestly don't think we can start talking with this going, and I think we just need to sit and watch you.
No.
Stop it.
Just listen.
Let me test. That's good. All right, there we go. You want it? You want it?
Whoa, sweet boy up in here.
No, you'll see.
Oh, you're committed now.
Oh, yeah. The orange bitters are.
Oh my gosh.
They're next level. It is a little sweet. Hold on. Like you, Caleb. Here we go. And I gotta try this first, and then I gotta mix, officially here, and then.
The finger's a nice touch.
Yep. I wish Cassie, if
Nobody
she's
else
in the
is
chat,
here.
she'd be watching right now. She stirs her drinks. With
Jessica is appalled right now. Of everything that she's probably seeing at the moment. She's like, wait a minute. I thought you were going to like grab a bottle of wine or maybe some scotch, and here you are. But I've been working for 3 days, and there we go. It might need some raspberry lime, which, yeah. All right. Actually, why not?
Very interesting. Oh, look at this
Cheers.
guy. Full
Cheers,
send.
let's go.
I love it. Cheers, everybody.
Let's go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to see you all.
That's delightful. That is delightful. I'm going to make some burgers after this. It's all going to be okay in the world.
Oh, snap.
I'm making Okie burgers. You've made those, right? Oklahoma burgers. Have you ever made those, Ben?
No.
So you take you can use a sharp knife, but you take my lighting is always on the cool side. Like 80s cool memo.
Mine is always warm.
I got in here about
Ben is
about 40 minutes
so
ago.
He's always correct.
No, and then I'm not. This is what we got here, Dustin. This is where we're going. It is what it is. It's the 30-second margarita. What the hell was I going to say now? Memo.
Burgers.
Burgers. Oklahoma burgers. All right. So what you do is ideally you take a mandolin. Everybody knows what a mandolin is. You can shave like veggies really thin.
Yep.
You take an onion and you go
fingers.
like paper thin on the onions. You make a hamburger patty. High fat content is better. Smash burgers work great for this as well. You slap the patty down onto like a cast iron pan, and you immediately put a handful of those paper thin shaved onions on top, and then you press them down, and then you just let that thing sear on one side. You flip it, and then all the onions get caramelized. You put the cheese on right away. It's one of the best burgers you'll ever have. Okie burger. Simple. Very simple. Okie burger. Look it up. All right. David says, Caleb, you're nailing the retro futuristic industrial Tron Blade Runner look of the shop with the added lights and configure, which was your goal last time. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yep, that's the goal. Is instead of trying to have a beautiful set way back there where it used to be, now it's just lean into the madness and put it out of focus. And little pops of light, and I do have from China. I've got some insane lights coming. One of them
from China.
Actually, you can see here a little bit. See that giant green thing?
Yes.
I think we talked about this.
Is that a 4x4?
Air mattress.
That's a
the
4x4
air mattress lights.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's a 4x4 there. I've got a 2x4 that can go off the ceiling, but waiting at the UPS store to go pick up is an 8x4. And then I guess they're having supply issues, but eventually an 8x8. And that's just
Wow.
going to go on the ceiling here, and just this whole space just have a nice pool. So that'll be fun to play with. And then I'm getting weird with like, the little not to completely sidetrack us here, but the little nan light guy, 60C, right?
Yes, which I use
the
today.
60C now.
I use it.
Yeah, really great little light. I was expecting it to be like, nan light does really nice, like good with color. So I got one of those through their little Lico thing. Right, it's over here.
That's what I use. That is my
red.
kicker. That is my
gosh.
edge light. The 60C with the 36-degree projector. That is that's set up with every interview shoot that I use now. Yeah. It's a great
Love
light,
it.
and it's RGB ACL. It's like one of their only RGB ACL lights.
Oh,
But
that's I didn't even know.
It's they're kind of doing a good job with that. And I just used their 240C, which is their 2 foot by 2 foot color panel. It folds up to a 1x2, and then you open it up, and then you basically, when you attach it to the yoke, it connects the two together. Very happy with that. It's I think it's about a 300 watt draw. They call it a 240C. It's pretty punchy, and I went into the space and I just bounced the light off of the wall and the ceiling, and that was the key. Yeah. So they're doing good things. Now, besides that, Caleb, because this is sort of our segue into talking about what we've been doing, you're working on the space. What else have you been up to? Outside of like family and traveling stuff, what have you been doing?
Right. Yeah. Just designing gear. I've had a lot of fun with Camera Foundry, and so our main product, Cine back, we're just expanding that to more cameras. So hopefully we'll have the majority of the Sony stuff wrapped up, and Panasonic, and then Fuji, or Fuji then Panasonic. And then also other little stuff like earlier in the chat here, I think it was Harrison, had mentioned the SDI adapter, which I actually have right here, converting HDMI cameras to SDI. So making a line of these. So right now it's just the 12G and the 6G. But I don't think a lot of people know about these and how incredible they are now. Like they have one that's a little bigger than this, that's bi-directional 12G HDMI to SDI. So there's two SDI inputs or outputs. There's two HDMI inputs or outputs. You can install a LUT on it and turn it into a LUT box. And it's bi-directional. So you can actually have HDMI going in with two SDI outputs and another HDMI out. It's super versatile, and they're like, I don't know, $100 or $80 or something like that. These ones are like $60. They're ridiculous, So, yeah, having fun with stuff like that, and realizing how expensive it is to do small batch CNC milling. So that's tough, but looking forward to exploring that more, doing our own metal parts and stuff like that. So someday I want to do a top panel. That's like the ultimate goal, is just build stuff I've always wanted and, hook people up with some fun things.
It's pretty much a full-time gig
That's
now.
pretty much it.
I mean, Camera Foundry has taken up a fair amount of your time, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's always more to do. And I love like the design process of not only designing a product, but also how do you take that and then mass produce it? Because it's I could build one-offs for the channel, and I still may at some point. Like I love the idea of building like this ridiculous artisan Fujifilm with like Limo connectors and like really go, or like Ben, he was helping me out figuring out stuff for the R5C version. And there's so many things that would make it so great. But when you think, all right, now how do we make 400 a month? Right. Or source all the little components, it starts to get really, so that's kind of a fun challenge. It's like is figuring out how to make that happen. So I enjoy that too. And there's just always something to do, and then the machines that are available now to do all this stuff. Like I'm getting off into the weeds, like researching, like not recently, but like a tape machine. these automatic tape machines are nuts. They're so cool. So there's a lot of fun stuff to explore there. But I am looking forward to getting back into making more videos. Put one up today for the first time in a while. So I think I've got 4 or 5 out this year. So hoping to do more of that. But yeah, enjoying Camera Foundry right now.
Nice.
What about you guys?
Your connection is a little slow. You started to get a little choppy there, Caleb, but right at the end.
All right.
Did that happen for you too, Ben, or just me?
It did. It just glitched, but it's probably on the eCam end. I wouldn't spend too much time trying to figure that out.
I don't think I've ever been super solid, which is wild. I'll do a speed test, which will probably take a dump. But let's see.
What about you, Ben? What have you been up to?
Since last time we spoke, I was in the UK, I think, last time we spoke, and had a bit of not really had much of a summer off, but I've had the last 3 weeks on a ship in the North Sea filming a massive component of a offshore wind farm that's being constructed out there at the moment. So I was out filming essentially one thing, one part of this installation. So a little bit at the beginning, they basically take a steel frame, they call it a jacket, but it's essentially the bed that this thing sits on. They dump that in the sea, put piles into it, and then they put this enormous substation, which the scale of which is very hard to capture unless you've got something to give it scale. And of course, in the middle of the sea, there's not really anything to give it scale. So it's kind of an interesting thing to try and capture. So I've been out filming that, for 3 weeks, a named storm. So in the UK, as storms come across the Atlantic, if they're a bad one, they get a name. And this was a named storm. And we were sitting out in this for 3 days with 100-mile-an-hour winds, nearly 30-foot waves. Boat's not that big. So, quite an interesting thing. And we could normally, they would just go in, but because we were waiting for this operation to happen, and as soon as this storm dropped, they were going to do this lift. And it was apparently the biggest lift of a component like this that's ever been done at sea. And, they couldn't risk missing it. So
they could risk your lives, but they couldn't risk missing the shot. Yeah,
you felt like it. And the nice thing about the offshore stuff is that it's a slightly healthier day rate than the normal work that I do, because obviously I have to have a lot of qualifications to be able to go out and do that stuff, like sea survival things and all the insurance, the experience of it. But I was feeling like I really needed to up that rate for a few days on that gig. But on the positive, boat's actually really nice. Has a gym on it. It's got incredible food. Nice people. So, it wasn't a bad place to be, but, it's still a prison. So I was extremely ready to get off the thing after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit, that's an ongoing project. This wind farm is being constructed over the next 18 months or so. So at various points in the construction, I'll be going back out filming more. So nice. It's a nice little gig, really. Kind of, I enjoy that stuff. It's a little different. I wouldn't want to be doing it all the time, but it's, that's been my summer. So that, and then, and other than the work stuff, just flying a lot. I'm kind of, so I can only have the one drink tonight because I've got a flying lesson again at 8 tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're flying.
I'm
that's right.
So how close are you to just peace out, drive over, hop on a plane and fly somewhere?
Pretty close. First solo probably Saturday, depending on.
Oh wow!
Holy cow! Wow!
One more.
Good for you.
One more lesson tomorrow, Friday off. First solo Saturday, and then I've got 4. Yeah, probably then a month. It's just some navigation stuff, a bit more solo flying. So I probably have it finished. Well, it depends on work and how much time. When I'm here, I fly it every day. I would say October, maybe November. Yeah, it's exciting. Loving it. It's been and such a thing for kind of clearing your head from all the work, life stuff. It's so all encompassing that it just, the second you sit in that thing, your head's clear. It's so
right.
So although there's stress within it, it's just the best thing in terms of a bit of a reset in your busy brain thing. So yeah, it's good.
Nice.
So do you know? Have you spoken to people in the States who fly, I imagine you guys are more strict. I have a feeling out here it's just like America, eagle sounds, and then you get your I can
Wave a
fly
big ass
this
flag.
card
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
like 10 days.
Okay, so the thing I'm doing is called an ultralight license. So it's
Okay.
up to 600 kilos total, all up weight. So
Mm.
that's essentially a two-seater. So there's things that look
Okay.
like Cessnas with a high wing. There's low
Yep.
wing stuff. The thing I fly's got the engine at the back, so it looks like a little fighter jet at the front and twin tail thing.
Okay. Nice.
In the States, so it's, I mean, minimum 25 hours instruction to get the license. Most people are more like 35, 40, which I would say will be
Okay.
where I am
So it's not
at the
insane.
end of it.
Mhm.
So you own this plane too? The one that you're flying?
No.
Okay.
The flight school do that. I mean, the big difference is if you go and start flying what we would call certified aircraft, it means that like you can't touch anything. So if you're quite handy, and you could do an oil change or you could change spark plug, like you can't touch this. Everything's got to be done by certified mechanics. The only thing you're allowed to do on those things is like literally check the oil, nothing else. Everything's crazy expensive. Whereas this is, the aircraft is still inspected regularly, but you can work on them yourself. You can build them yourself. So in the US, it's a different system to Europe, but it's similar. So if they're really small and you're in unrestricted airspace in the States, you can fly some of those things with no license at all, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Alabama. No, I'm just...
Yeah.
Mississippi.
So these are kind of it's strict, but it's not. It's kind of like a cheaper version of everything. But some of these things do like 380 kilometers an hour. They're like full glass cockpits. They cost 300,000 euros. Some of these things, and down to things that look like that someone's knocked up in their shed. So there's a huge range of aircraft.
But what you're flying,
but it's really popular.
So
yeah,
what you're flying, how much would an aircraft like that cost? Would that be like a 25,000 euro or like 150,000 euro type of thing?
Yeah, more like that range. I don't know exactly this one because there's only, I think, 7 or 8 of the aircraft that I fly. It was designed by the guy that's teaching me to fly, or him and his brother.
Oh.
And it's brilliant. It's the most Jeep. Oh, here we go.
Stop.
Oh my gosh.
And thumbs up. Thumbs up comes right when the grumpy penguin shows up. Unbelievable. Grumpy penguin.
Have you not seen him in like a year?
It's been, I mean,
Where
it just
have you
came out
been?
of nowhere. He's been working on cars because good time for a pilot to check in. So we have a pilot, another pilot. I see, Grumpy
I see
Penguin.
we have another learned one amongst us.
Oh, you've been
Python
hiding in the
reference.
background, just like waiting for a year to jump in with your grumpiness.
Maybe he's been listening this whole time, but he heard like pilot planes.
Yeah. Now we just need 360 grad to show up and unbelievable. Where, I mean, come on, Grumpy. It's good to see you. We're happy to have you. I feel like we need to scroll back on this chat here because we're missing a lot of comments and things. But good to have you, Grumpy. It's been a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you hear that we're giving away prizes on the channel and now you're showing up again? What's going on here, Grumpy? Colin, let me just say hi to some
just
people
needs
here.
to jump in and be like, "What kind of? How's it feel to have a stick between your legs, Ben?" Or something like that.
Wait, what is going on? First of all, there's some voodoo going on with Memo. So Memo said that I looked a little cool, right? So what really happened was I just finished a 3-day interview shoot, and all of my cameras were set to 5,000 Kelvin. But in the studio, they're set to 5,800 Kelvin. So I thought I had changed them, but I obviously didn't set it. So you're right. But then did you actually call out that it was 800 Kelvin off? If you did, there's something wrong with you, Memo, but I give you points for that. Okay. Because no monitor is actually calibrated. So I don't know what the hell's happening, but you're tapping into something. It's weird. Okay. Let's get some questions answered here. And just to answer what I've been doing, just, the normal crap. So I do, that's irrelevant right now. But the first question for Caleb, Harrison says, how heavy is the 4x4 that's behind you? Is it the inflatable? Is it pretty
Super light. Yeah.
super
Really
light?
light. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know how many like pounds, like, yeah, it's I have no idea what it is, but it's
But
very,
it's not
very
heavy.
light because it's air. It's mostly air. It's just a big LED rollable mat
Yep.
on top of an air mattress.
And it has a controller, a separate controller, right?
Yes, that's huge. So that's like,
That's the
big.
heavy part.
But it's a light sucker. That thing is like bright, I should say. It's a bright sucker. That thing can, it's a lot of juice.
Good. Daniel says, Jem, how's the Anchor big battery generator going? Good. I didn't get to use it much on that production, but it's doing what it's supposed to do. And I am happy with the purchase. I mean, I don't know during Amazon Prime days if the half off was really half off, because they continued that deal, and you see those deals with these solar generator, not solar. You can solar power it and recharge it, but I'm happy with it. I don't know why yours never showed up, but I've had a really good history with Anchor's products in general. I think that their power bricks and adapters and their cables have been pretty rock solid for me. So of all those brands, I'm pretty happy with that. What just popped up down at the bottom? Did something pop up?
Camille dropping with the €5 for the booze.
Oh, let's go. Come on, I gotta scroll down here. Super chat it.
Let's get
Camille,
some thumbs up from Ben.
Always a great
Here we go.
supporter.
Let's get some
Let's
thumbs
go.
up,
We need a
Bubbles.
fireworks
Come
of
on.
two.
Boom.
There
we
Yeah.
go.
Now
There we
we're
go.
talking. Okay. I feel like I need the horn, but that's obnoxious.
Yeah.
But, I think it's in here. Is there a horn? I think the horn sounds are in here somewhere, but I don't think I should play them because that's just too obnoxious.
But you really
forget
seem
the
like you
horns.
want to, so.
I do, but I don't even know where they are. Okay. What other comments do we have? Do you guys want to pull some out of the comment section here? Because I know that there's some questions and some comments and stuff like that.
Any interest on the C400 Gem? You did training on the C500 Mark II. Looking for a multi-cam interview package from Danny.
Well, the answer is yeah. I'd love to create some content around that, but nobody's hired me to do it. And it's too much work to just say I'm going to create a C400 series with no C400s and all of that stuff.
Right.
Great camera. I think priced right for what it is. Obviously hasn't officially dropped and should this month. And I think it's going to be a little workhorse of a camera. There's so much good stuff now. We're at that point, and we have been for a long time, that it will make sense for people who say, I want to go buy a couple of matching cameras for corporate and small, commercial production. And maybe I want to shoot a little feature or a short with some people. It'll do all of that stuff. And it's going to be a very capable camera, and the RF mount lenses are great. And there's a lot of options out there. And if you're looking for a strong AF system, I think it's going to be great. I'm not worried about the mini XLR, mini, SDI. There's cables for that now where you can go mini XLR to full XLR. So I don't really think that that's the issue. I think it's going to be a great camera. But I mean, I look at what's happening today. Red announced, or Nikon announced huge price drops on the Komodo X.
Right.
It's like $6,500, and the regular 6K is well under 5,000. They're definitely going after, sort of that. They're not going to go quite Black Magic, but they're being very aggressive. That's obviously not an
And
autofocus camera. Yeah. Tell me.
Did you also see that on the Canon rumors thing, apparently there's another camera below the C400 coming out between now and IBC. Although IBC must be kind of this week. Is it?
I've heard it's next.
That's like
It's the
soon,
13th
right?
through the 16th. I've heard rumors of that, but I have heard nothing more than rumors. And it would seem odd to me that before the C400 ships, that they would announce something that may cannibalize some of those sales. That's just a personal feeling
Agreed.
that I was thinking about. But there's definitely room for them to have something between the R5C and the C400 for sure. They have it right now. It's a C70, but obviously that has its own issues. You know, not issues. It's a good camera, but it could see a Mark II, you know, or a C100, or not C100 because that's already been taken. But you know what I mean. I guess
Apparently
we'll see.
a cinema camera is going through certifications right now. So there's something
really?
out there.
From Canon, you're saying?
There's rumor. They're saying it might be a C70 Mark II.
Okay.
Which would be interesting.
Would be. Would it be Super 35 or would they go?
Right.
You know, yeah. Would they just now go full frame all the way?
R5C2.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah.
Lots of
That
commentary
R5C,
said that they
man.
didn't think they were going to go down that route, but it's
Right.
interesting.
I mean, that
Just
camera,
on the
I'd
RF
love to see
lenses.
how much they've sold.
Which one?
Of
C70?
which camera?
R5C and
Oh.
the C7. I feel like those
Yeah.
are everywhere.
Yeah, those are
I love
everywhere,
that
but so
thing.
are the FX30s and the FX3s. I mean, those are everywhere too.
Yeah,
And
the
more so
FX3
than the
is
Canons.
literally everywhere. Unbelievable.
Everywhere. And I
Yeah.
mean, let's just be
Yes.
honest. Let's call a spade here. We're not talking hybrid cameras for stills and video. But there's no question in my mind that today, if I were making a recommendation to somebody who wanted to buy, a cost-effective cinema camera to get started, or even has been doing it for a while, that the FX30, especially when it's $15.98 US dollars, dollar for dollar, it's one of the best little, digital cinema cameras you
Yeah.
can buy. It's just crazy that is floating at around $1,500 US.
If you're coming in cold, that's the system you're going for.
Without having to think about stills. I mean, R5C is a very different camera.
Right.
And it's not, we're not talking, and I would take probably an R5C over an FX3, and the price difference isn't that much different between the two cameras. I feel like the R5C is giving me more. The A7C2 is a very interesting camera for its price because it is full frame. I've been using it a lot. I don't use it for stills. Has a Super 35 mode. But again, under $2,000, there's plenty of stuff from Blackmagic, and there's a few things from other companies. But if I'm making a recommendation to get a little digital cinema camera in mirrorless form, I don't think you still can't beat the FX30 right now. Maybe you can, but I'm just saying it's got a lot of things going for it overall.
Yep.
Feelings? I don't know.
I was just gonna. Well, just on a slight sidetrack. This job I've been doing recently, the company that I'm working through, who I've been talking to for a long time about all this offshore stuff, they then said, we're going to give you this lens to take out. They gave me the RF 200 to 800 to take with me. Now, if you're working on a boat,
How
boat
big is
moves
it?
Oh gosh,
It's big,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
quite a lot. So well, no, it's not. It's big-ish, but it's not heavy. I would say it's about the similar weight to a 70 to 200 2.8.
Okay.
I
Wow.
can't remember exactly what the aperture is on this, but it's variable throughout the range, and I think it goes up to it's either maybe 9 on the long end of it. But actually, quite a decent piece of kit. Really enjoyed using it. It's hard to shoot video with it on something that's moving. And at times we were shooting things that are, well, we were 3 kilometers almost away at times. So, you've got a lot of compression of haze and things at that sort of distance, but also just that kind of enormous movement on anything that you're filming. So There's no way that you can take that out with stabilization of any kind, or you try and sit something in the middle of the boat and rock up and down. But really impressive lens for the cost of it. I think it's about £2,000, so it will be about $2,000. I'm sure it tends to be about the same.
Mm.
So it's for that money. It's a decent piece of kit if you need something in that focal length. And an interesting piece of kit. It's white, so it looks like an L lens, but isn't. It looks the part. You know, you get a nice warm, fuzzy feeling when you open your camera bag and it's sitting there. I'm going to paint a red ring around it.
Yeah, why not? Very
film
thin
by Hendrix.
one.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad you tuned in while you're heading cross country. DJ, good to see you. It's been ages. We need to catch up at some point. Harrison says, question on DJI focus. Caleb, have you noticed having to recalibrate saved lenses constantly? When I swap between C1, C2, C3, I'm constantly off by plus minus 6 to 10 millimeters. I've heard other people having the same problem. Do you use that DJI focus?
Interesting. I actually, in my video I put up today, got a demo unit finally, or asked for one. And I love that thing. That thing is, I'm totally 180 on LiDAR. Yeah, forget, I'm super stoked for where that's going. But I'm not, the words you're using in text form, Harrison, tells me that you know way more than I do about that. So I've not had issues, but I've not been pushing it. I've not put myself in situations where I would, I've not messed with it enough to be able to help you there. But it's not drifted. But that's the one thing that bothers me the most is, and why I want to build a custom mount for at least Cineback. So the front of that LiDAR sensor is always exactly 20 mil from the sensor or whatever. Because that's the fussiest bit about the system is, where do I mount this thing? I got to get it as low and close to the lens if this is the sensor. I had mine like way up here. That's not going to work. You got to, I mean, it's passable, but you want it right over that lens. But then, you put it on a matte box. If that matte box just has a little bit of wiggle, you start having issues. So
got it.
Finding a solid solution for that is the tricky.
And do you want to line it up with the camera sensor? Is ideally where you want it, right? The sensor plane,
because the
or is
LiDAR
it somewhere
has
else?
a camera built into it.
Yeah.
And so you're looking over at your grip monitor.
Yeah.
And then looking at your actual monitor, and you're trying to get those as close to the same as possible.
Calibrate
so that's
them.
A bit fussy.
Yeah. Got it.
That's the fussy bit. But once you find something that works, it is insane how it looks like I'm shooting on a Canon or Sony system, but I'm using manual lenses, which is so exciting to be able to get finally character with good autofocus. So that's fun.
Yeah. I was talking to a DP recently, a friend, and he was saying that it's so good, and in the way that it's pulling focus is so smooth. There's very few situations where it's going to be doing better than. Also, very few situations where an AC is going to actually be pulling focus better than it is for the work that he's doing.
Right.
Wow.
So
which is nuts.
I think. Yeah, and
scary for a lot of people, I would imagine.
Yeah, but it's the future, I think. I think LiDAR, I thought it was like, oh, that's just for people who can't afford a department to figure out autofocus. But I think that's going to be huge. Yeah, it's going to be really big because we're going to be able to use lenses that, autofocus with any lens. And it looks awesome. As long as you can rig it up.
Cool.
So, fun. But yeah, sorry, Harrison. I've not had that problem.
What does it cost, that system at the moment?
$1,000. $1,000 gets you everything you need for like focus, and then
Super
it's
reasonable.
$150 for another motor.
I mean,
so
that's
I think I bought
very reasonable.
The combo, an extra motor, and an extra battery for the handle. And I think all of that was like 1,300.
That's where it
So
starts to get
very
really
reasonable.
interesting with these either small mirrorless cameras, or even when we're looking at box cameras like the Komodo. You see a price drop on a camera like that. Some of these other manual focus cameras, and that's where I think the DJI Focus could be pretty interesting. Do we still think DJI
Sure.
is going to do something that's going to go beyond the 4D, and they're going to come out with something that's a more traditional digital cinema camera? I still feel like they just came out with a new 75 millimeter lens. They're still
They
cranking
have
out
to at some
stuff.
point.
I don't see why they wouldn't. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the drone business is going to go down in flames, but
Right.
they are diversified enough that they could definitely expand in certain areas they're in already. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they will.
Yeah.
Linda, good to see you. Um,
Awesome.
it's yeah, and by the way, it is in stock right now. It's been out of stock forever. I heard rumors that they had some issues and they had to deal with some problems before they could like or actually make a ton of them. But I finally got mine, not a demo unit, in. But they're going after everyone.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think Tilta is gonna go under, but I think Tilta is gonna really hurt because their focus system, the Nano 2, that's pretty much
Yeah.
dead at this point because of this. I think Hollyland is in big trouble because DJI is crushing it on their wireless stuff, their wireless transmission on a high level, and they have those new little cute ones,
Yeah.
So Hollyland's done.
Just call it. Caleb's calling
They're
it right
done.
now.
I'm
Let's
saying
go.
it right
I'm
now.
hearing like the
Hollyland's
march
dead.
of death over here. Okay.
They're playing around with microphones. They're not gonna compete with Rode.
No.
They're not gonna compete
No
with them.
way.
Or DJI, because again, DJI has their second generation wireless system with 32-bit. That flippy, that psycho camera thing, that's not gonna do it for them.
Oh my God.
The Hollyland, whatever that thing is.
Let's not talk
Sideways
Oh, yeah.
camcorder.
Yeah.
And then they had some interesting wireless solutions, but that's not gonna work. DJI is a juggernaut, a manufacturing juggernaut, and even the people that left them and started a 3D printing company, they're destroying the 3D printing industry,
right,
by just making the best stuff. Like
Yeah.
we switched from the number one 3D printing company to Bamboo Labs, who is a bunch of ex DJI employees or people, and they're just slaying left and right. So it's it's just a matter of time, right? They already have a camera, they have the components there, so why not?
Yeah, and they're a somewhat unique company. I mean, I think in the lighting field right now, we have a few companies that are, kind of battling it out. Godox is giving it a go. I don't think they're going to. But if you look at Aperture and you look at Nanlite, it's like, they're in the boxing ring, and it's like blow for blow, and it's a good thing for us that that's happening. And then you have some of these other companies and stuff, but I don't know if there's another company like DJI. They kind of are unique.
Yeah.
And they are huge. And don't forget, they own Hasselblad now too. So there's a whole other,
And just think how meteoric that rise has been. Do you remember when we saw DJI in that back of Central Hall little area with like a tiny little stand? How many years ago was that? 10? Maybe not even.
Yeah, maybe.
Nuts.
It's crazy, So we'll see. But I mean, you got other what seemingly little companies that have also kind of exploded. I mean, you look at Small Rig. Nobody even had heard of that company, 5-6 years ago in any real way. I mean, we were kind of finding their things here and there on Amazon and stuff like that. But it's just kind of amazing how these companies grow. and they're not all
Yeah.
going to survive, but some of them will.
Mhm.
So it's interesting. I like that the chat is pretty lively here. Okay. What are we going to talk about here as we go into our last, we'll say 15
Last
minutes of the
quarter.
live stream? Last quarter of the thing. First of all, chat, feel free to come in with an at the C47. Actually, Aaron just said, I just shot 3 separate commercials with the Ronin 4D. Amazing camera for ergonomics and sensor. If DJI is planning a mirrorless camera, I'm very curious. Which they could do quite easily.
About the ergonomics of that camera. I was on a shoot recently in London, and we were working for this. It was this big event on Savile Row, which was kind of the heart of the fashion kind of center of London, and it was this car show and to do with bespoke tailoring. Very cool event. Anyway, I was just shooting bits and pieces on the street, and this guy was next to me with one of these, and I was talking to him about the ergonomics of it, and I said, well, "Can I have a go?" And it just felt like, I picked it up and just went, "You're going to need an awful lot of medical help in the coming years, my friend, if you're shooting on this every day."
Interesting.
And I mean, it's a cool thing. I'm so interested in that camera, but I'm interested to know why you think it's so good ergonomically. Because to me, it just felt like it was going to kill you back. So maybe you've got that rigged in a really good way, and that's taking all the weight off. I'm so interested in that thing, but I picked it up and just went. For me, at my age, with my ailing body, no way.
Well, yeah, Brandon as well. So Brandon, and Aaron, if you could chime in, are you using like an easy rig with it as well? What are you doing? Because every time I see Josh use it, make art now. I'm thinking correctly, right? It just seems, it seems like the Helix gimbal that came out from Lettuce. It's the same. It's like you're holding it here, and it's like, and I have one, and it's like it just feels, especially when the gimbals start kicking in, you're just like, this doesn't feel like it was made for humans. Like I feel like there should be like other arms, coming out to like hold that or do something else.
You can get the tilta thing with all those arms that come around.
Oh my god, I know. It's like Spider-Man with what's his name? I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I can't imagine doing that all day. I can't imagine a commercial where similar to, a fully built Amira system where you've got the easy rig or whatever, and in between takes you're setting that beast down. Because it does ergonomically, it's nice. But yeah, if you're just standing there filming all day, that's awful. Like it's gonna be rough on the
the guy I spoke to, I was saying, is your back not bad? And he was saying like he's having to pretty much put himself through a regime of exercises to core work.
There you go.
Okay. Just like a Steadicam op or something. Sully says, at DSLR, how long have you used Mix Pre for audio? I mean, that could be a question for more than just you, Caleb, but ta-da. I mean,
This is a sneak peek at a YouTube video, but I've been using this exact setup for, well, not this exact setup, but a setup like this for, I mean, I don't even know, 7 years or so. It's made some modifications. I actually use Rode Wireless Go's. So the audio is going from this microphone into the Mix Pre. Yeah. And this is Mark 1. This is not the fancy pants what Jem's got. It's coming out of this, going into a Rode transmitter,
so dumb.
Rode Pro. That's going to my camera right now. So it's wireless. This can go anywhere in the studio. And then it's going from the camera's headphone output over another Rode Wireless Go to these headphones. So wireless headphones, I can pop them on and just make sure. And then I'm recording on the headphones. I'm recording on the Mix Pre and recording on the Pro. So I have 3 recordings. Can you tell I hate it when when audio's not working?
No, I can't.
The idea is I'm never going to reshoot anything ever. So I just want to make sure I never have to do that.
But
yeah,
I want
it's
to
a
ask you a
tank.
question.
This thing's the best. It's unbelievable.
But I have a question for you. So everything's wireless, and you have those wireless goes, but that does mean that you have to make sure those are charged. I mean, I know the batteries last for a long time, but there is that component to it. Yeah. Okay.
So everything's powered off of a V mount on the top with a USB, and every once in a while, every third video, I just rotate what is plugged into to charge stuff. So far, so good. But the point is, I mean, I'll be able to see when it cuts out.
And I would piggyback onto that and say that, you know, I have been for years trying to get away from external video recorders. Like it's just not a thing for me. Like I think the codecs, the formats are, and the NLEs and the chips in our computers, the GPUs and stuff, they can handle most of what we can throw at them right now. So as long as I know my camera is 10-bit, it's 422, I can shoot in log, I have flexibility in terms of the image I'm capturing, there's decent data rates in there, I'm gonna record in camera all day long. It's just not, I mean, maybe for an iPhone, I might go to an external SSD for ProRes or something, but I flipped on audio, and it's like, I will not go out onto a job now ever without that mix pre, because 32-bit float, you know, I've got noise assist, I'm doing double system sound no matter what on every shoot that I'm doing. And it saves the day sometimes. I mean, there have been times where it really has saved the day. So
interesting.
Well, to piggyback. Oh, good.
No, go on.
I'm not refereeing this.
I was just gonna add. I don't even use the recording off of this. Like that's a backup.
Right.
When you buy into this, you're also buying into even if you get the old one, you're buying into the analog limiters. So if I scream right now, it's fine. I don't need even 32-bit necessarily, because the analog limiters it's constantly, like a digital limiter will just chop off the top when it spikes. So it'll still peak or distort and sound terrible. This won't, because it has those analog limiters that they'll catch it before it happens. So that is great. So I actually just use whatever's on the SD card, but I'm taking advantage of the incredible quiet preamps of this guy with the analog limiters. So I'm getting all of that in camera, and if something terrible happens in camera, I can pull the card. But I mean, that's super rare. So I'm with you, Jem. Like, I'm not interested in pulling the file off of the SD card unless I have to.
Yeah, I mean, I give it to my editor, and he'll sync everything up always. But if I'm just doing regular stuff, everything's running through the mix pre every single day, everything that I do.
Right.
But if I'm just pulling the card from the camera, I'm not pulling the card from the mix pre as well. But if I'm doing a client shoot, that card is getting backed up, and
this
that's
is all
being
from
sent
YouTube
to the editor.
For me, so.
Well, exactly, same. But you know, when we're doing a client project, those 32-bit float files go. My editor takes those, syncs them, and he's using those as the audio masters.
So I also have the Mix Pre 3 and love it, but I don't take it on every job, because if I'm on my own, I'm traveling a lot, or it's just more weight, although the thing is very compact. But using the wireless Pros, the 32-bit float, but also using that system as well, great when you're on your own, for those of us that are just one-man teams at time. It's so good having that 32-bit float and those files on, and I may not use them for everything, it depends on what the job is, but having that backup, if you hear it clipping, which you do, like that, we've done a really quick change around. We're not miking people up in the way that we would like to be miking people up, and we're literally just throwing those goes and the transmitter packs onto people, dropping them in pockets, and you can hear it's hot. Like you're praying that he's not going to get excited. We've all been there. We shouldn't do it. We've all been there.
Calm down.
I'm usually praying that people are not getting excited, but that's a different. Yeah.
Well, normally you're wanting them to be animated and great, and you're just going like, I can hear we're right on the top of my levels here. Please don't. But so that's great having those. So just throwing that off at the end of the day when I'm doing all that media management and we're dumping everything off, backing everything up, that I know those are there. And then I'll often put in my notes, because I'm generally making notes, particularly for doing interviews, and going like, just use 32-bit files for this one. You go and take those off, because the stuff in camera is going to be clipping. It depends on the job. Like sometimes you've got the time to do it. You're always going to be using those better files, or you're going to be able to use the external recorder anyway. But for that real kind of run and gun stuff, it's a godsend. So it's that double system audio, as you were saying, Jem, to make sure that you've got both in.
Yeah.
Not as nice as using the mix pre, which is what I would use, if we've got the time and
peace of mind, though.
Absolutely.
Grumpy. Caleb, this is a question for you. Speaking of 3D printers, from the Grumpy Penguin, good to have you back again. What's the next big thing where that tech will work in filmmaking? And I'm not sure if we need to clarify that question, but like, you're already using 3D printers to conceptualize and design things related to filmmaking. But is there something,
Right.
like, what else do you mean by that, Grumpy? Or are you gleaning, what that question is, and can you answer that, Caleb?
I mean, it's a really fun manufacturing process, because you can design something that isn't machinable. Like Cineback, the 3D printed parts, you can't machine those parts. Like, you couldn't send that file to a guy with a big piece of aluminum and cut it out. Oh yeah, the things we've designed, because you have to be able to get an entire head in there with a bit to cut away at metal. So with 3D printing, you can design stuff that is impossible to manufacture in any other way. We're starting to get close to metal 3D printing being approachable. So all of that's great for building stuff, especially a small batch people, because I can, come up like this is the core of the FX3. It has a plate on the bottom, but this thing here is mostly 3D printed with a bunch of metal on it and inserted in it. We can make a tweak. Like today, we made a tweak on the R5C, and we can just make a change, and that's what we print now. Whereas if we did injection molding, you're dropping 20, 30 grand into a mold. And if you have to make a change, it's unbelievably expensive. Whereas 3D printing, you just change it. As far as filmmaking goes, I mean, if you go on Etsy, or if you're really on Instagram, you're probably looking for gear. There's like probably hundreds at this point of small companies making, like in the UK, a great one is Cine Parts, I think it is .co.uk, I think is their website. They make all kinds of little stuff. So there's all these little pop-up companies, these little small batch, that you just couldn't do that traditionally. You can't. None of those guys would exist. So there's that. But I think long term with AI, because AI is starting to creep into the 3D modeling space, where you can type in, make a box with standard airy locating pins and threads that fits around this with this feature and that feature. You can essentially use AI text to have the computer model something for you. So I could see where, and Bamboo Labs, like any of you guys could grab a printer from their website and immediately have pristine prints. It was never that way before. Really? So I could see us in a couple of years saying, like, all of us, I'm sure, have been here 100 times. You're trying to rig something up. None of the holes are lining up. It's all wrong, but you're so close to getting this perfect ergonomic little, way to mount your audio setup for a run and gun, whatever. You could turn around at your computer, punch in what you want, have it spit out a model, throw it at your 3D printer, and now you've got that perfect little bracket to hold whatever. I think that's where we could be going. Can I ask you a question, though,
Caleb? Yeah. Because Grumpy says he has a friend who has a metal 3D printer and can do some really neat stuff. So is that a new trend? Because my understanding is in the past it's all been basically plastic based. Is that wrong?
Right. Yeah, metal's becoming more and more possible. It's more expensive, and there's metal, like there's actual 3D printers that will like weld and then there's some that there's metal in the plastic. So there's multiple technologies there, but or various powders that are, you had some electricity and, there's all kinds of different methods. But we're definitely going to get there where you could print your own cheese plate out of aluminum eventually. So I think it's going to change manufacturing forever, because up until this point, it's all been reductive production. With CNC, with wood or metal, you're taking a chunk of something and cutting it away. Whereas
Right.
3D printing, you can make anything. You
But
can make air filters with
starting
these
from
complex. Yeah, you're
You're-
just layer by layer. So
Amazing. Yeah, and the whole 3D printing.
we'll see, but
for dwellings and everything is also mind blowing in terms of
yeah,
it's
Mhm.
crazy.
cool.
Okay, well, we end this episode of Camera and Flask because we are just after the hour. Good Jeff, thank you for being good, and thank you for being Jeff, and for listening quietly in the background. But I'm glad you were here. And next month, October, I will be out of the country for the first Wednesday of the month. We have to figure out when we're going to do it. I think we should table the challenge and revisit that in October. Gentlemen, let me know your availability. I will be back on October 10th. So hopefully the Wednesday after that. But take a look at that on your calendar. Send me an email after this and we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I like how Memo puts Mexico City has got like just an MC now, all caps. Harrison, great to have you. Linda, Sully, Grumpy Penguin, Good Jeff, the Davids, Ono, I'm trying to remember everybody without
Dan.
scrolling here. Yes.
Dan.
Hopefully we get 360
Linda.
grad and small brown fox.
Brown fox, yeah.
We need the cheekies back here. As much as they cancel the channel, I'm with this few people, Aaron. Now I'm scrolling just to say, DJ, of course. Thank you, everybody, for coming by, being part of this, and we will do another one in October. I will be back next week with a weekly live stream, and Grumpy, don't be so grumpy. Come back. Hang out with us every once in a while. It's good to have you. Love you guys. Any parting words at all? Caleb, Ben?
Thanks for having us again, Jem.
I'm
Thanks for hanging
Not
out,
having
everyone.
you. No, it's great to hang
Love the
out.
cats forever. Keep your dongles close and...
What do you got for me, Ben? Give me some tears.
I was saying I'm really keen for us to sort out a time when the three of us can get together and have a drink in person.
So long overdue.
Really
100%.
long overdue. We need to work on this.
I agree. Let's powwow. Ben, you and I need to catch up. So before you either go on the road again or right when you get back, reach out to me. Let's hop on and figure this out. Okay?
Cool. All right.
Love you
We'll
guys.
speak soon.
Everybody, thanks for the support and, all that good stuff. See ya.